Well, good morning, guys, and welcome back to Tack Unbridled. I'm your host, Daniel. Thank you for joining us. How are you all doing today? You guys hanging in there? I know it's tough out there. Gas prices are just whoo-wee obscene. We just had our oh, I lost count now. 12th annual springtime tax swap this past Sunday. So I figured, what better topic to talk about than events? Um, Now, when I say events, they could be anything from a real small, in-store event to a big parking lot party event, um, and everything in between. So, as a small business owner, at least in my opinion, I feel that I have to differentiate myself among the online, retailers and Amazon and SmartPack and all of that. So I want to do things that encourage people, to have a good time here and to shop here, obviously. So, we can be uh, successful and sustainable. I've always thought of different events to get, to encourage people to come here. And sometimes it's not just about, getting the dollar out of them. It's just about physically getting them here and seeing what we have and learning what we're about, because word of mouth is a huge tool. They'll go tell their friends, "Boy, I was at Mad Tack, and they have this cool thing there, and they were really nice, and they have great customer service," and that's what you want. So you want to, in my opinion, you want to encourage them to come here by hosting different events. Now that being said, events, like I said, they can be anything from a small, just in-store sale event to a big outdoor parking lot event. They take lots of time, though, and a lot of people don't realize the amount of time that goes into these events. Both the physicality of it by getting whatever you may need, whatever the event is, required sales tickets or flyers or food. Uh, our tax swap, we had a portage on here, so that has to be rented and delivered. Um, to the amount of time in marketing and advertising and getting the word out and hoping people show up. If you have certain speakers or clinics or that type of thing where you have somebody giving a demonstration, they have to be lined up and brought in. um, there's a lot of time. There's a lot of time involved with it. A lot of people don't realize, what goes on behind the scenes to make these events possible. And we've had a slew of them through the years. Like I said, this is our 14th year in business. And some of our events have done really well, and other ones have completely crashed and burned. And you always try to take away like a learning experience from every event that you do to see if you can make the next one better or not, or if it's just something that you should just move on and forget it, and it's not the right type of event for your business. But that's it's kind of what I wanted to talk about with some of the different events that we've done and how they've turned out. And I like I said when I first started this, I feel events aren't required. If you're running your own small business, you don't have to have events. You just don't. It's not a requirement. But I just feel that you have to differentiate yourself. You have to make people want to come and want to, see what you're about and be involved. And I feel there's really no better way to do it than that. Um, I can start off with our tax swaps. For those of you who don't know, a tax swap isn't verbatim. It doesn't actually mean that you have to swap tack. A lot of people get confused with that. If I bring my saddle here, does that mean I have to trade with somebody? No. It's basically a large flea market for people selling whatever they want. For us, it's used tack, horse tack. Some of the tack swaps we've had in the past, I've had other, type avenues show up where people have sold handbags or makeup or, whatever they may have, garage sale type items and stuff like that. And those people they never do well. And I warn them ahead of time. These tax swaps are designed for people that are looking for deals. They are just coming for horse supplies, horse tack, and they want it cheap. They want a deal. So those people that come and set up and have really high prices or have non-horse stuff, they usually don't do all that well. But the whole premise of the tax swap for me, because obviously I'm not making money on what the vendors are selling, but the object of it for me is to get people here, get them physically here to the store. Because like I said, then they come in, they look around. Wow, I didn't know you sold this or that, or boy, this store's really big and you have a lot of saddles, you have a lot of this. I'm going to tell so and so, to come here because they're in the market for XYZ. That's why I want to have these tax swaps. We've been doing them. I believe this was the 12th year because the first 2 years we were just mobile only. So in 2014 was our first one. And we do them twice a year, springtime and fall. Last year we didn't have them. The location that we were in Orange, I had done it the year before. It was kind of a mess. It was a parking lot problem with neighbors and stuff. Ultimately the turnout was good, but it was just logistically, it was kind of a pain in the neck at that location. So we scrapped it. And then last fall, we were right in the middle of moving here to this location, so I knew I didn't want to try to do one, but this was our first one here at this location, and let me tell you what, the turnout was great. It was everything that I wanted it to be. We had a lot of vendors show up. They were all happy. They all did really well, and I had a lot of customer flow in through the store. A lot of it converted into sales. Absolutely. We sold a lot of stuff and did really well. But we also had a lot of traffic flow in here with that exactly what I was looking for. People, oh, I didn't know you had that. Oh, I didn't know you had a second floor. Oh my God, I'm going to tell so-and-so. Or I was just driving by and I saw what was going on and I wanted to stop in. That's what I love, because those are the people that you can engage with and get them to come back in the future. And that was the whole point of having this event, was to get people engaged and to realize what's going on here. Now the tax swaps, we've had to do some modifications to them. I remember the very first one we ever did was, we called it a tax swap / adoption event. And I had invited a bunch of local horse rescues and dog and cat rescues, and they brought animals up for adoption, along with the people bringing their stuff to sell. And while that event did really well, the turnout was fantastic for it, it turned out to just be a little too confusing and a little too complicated to have the pet adoption part and the tax swap part at the same time. So we decided after that to split them up, because we had a lot of people that they were just coming to adopt a cat. They weren't a horse person. And it was just, there was too much going on. It was a little bit too confusing and complicated. People kind of didn't know what was going on. So, like I said, we ended up splitting them into futures. The tack swaps have always done well. We've only ever had one that was kind of a dud, and it was mostly because of the weather. It was a fall time tack swap, and the weather was just cold, drizzly, overcast, pretty miserable. Most of the vendors bailed. I think we had about 5 ultimately show up. We still did have a decent customer flow, but it was nothing like I was hoping for. But you'll have them, if especially if you're doing an outdoor event, you can't plan around the weather, And we did try. I think it was one time years ago we tried doing a rain date because there was one, and the rain dates, in my opinion, they never work. People put it in the calendar for the main date, and that's what they plan around. They don't plan around a rain date. So I never do rain dates anymore. They never work. But like I said, the tax swaps have always been our bread and butter event. People look forward to them. They put them in their calendars. And this past one I had, on Sunday, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I was super happy. It just was what I would want in an event. Now, the adoption part of the event that we kind of split off onto its own, we tried doing that 2 more times. And both times, I have to say, I was really disappointed. And I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent here, but we had reached out to, oh boy, 15 or 20 different local adoption, ASPCA, local animal shelters, local animal pounds, horse rescues, you name it. We even invited dog salons and groomers and some vets and stuff like that. So, somebody could come in and adopt an animal and then, set up an appointment for grooming or set up an appointment for a vet and while the idea was really great and people stood behind it, the problem that I had with it was getting these agencies and, adoption rescues and stuff to actually come. Everybody said that they were going to come, and I had them all listed out. And then a lot of them, the day before, the morning of, we don't have enough volunteers. We can't make it. And that really stings me because I'm the one that have put in all of the time to advertise and to get people excited about this event, and then they show up and none of these adoption places are here. That kind of stung. Excuse me. It kind of stung. People were showing up and, oh, wait, I thought you said that, so-and-so was going to be here. Well, I don't have any control, whether they actually do show or not. So we did it twice. The first time was okay. The second time I was just, I don't know. I was absolutely dumbfounded by the amount that canceled. So that's an event that I kind of scrapped. In theory, on paper, it seems like a great idea, but when you're at the mercy of other people, showing up, unfortunately, just didn't quite work out. So I don't know. I might revisit that one in the future. We'll see. Another one that we did it one time and one time only. And again, I was like, this is the greatest idea. I saw online a couple other tax stores were doing it across the country. We hosted a fashion show. I thought this would be such a neat, unique, cool idea to showcase off a lot of the new riding apparel, hunt coats and breeches and chaps and, all of the stuff new for the year. Oh, excuse me. So Um, we hired two models. Both of them were friends of ours, but we had to schedule them and have them, show up, and we had to have, all of the different riding gear and apparel and stuff that they were going to showcase. I advertised like there was no tomorrow with this event. I mean, every social media outlet you could think of, we advertised. We actually got lists of all of the local barns. And when I say local, I mean within like a 2 hour radius of the store, and hand wrote, special invitations and snail mailed them out to all the local barns with coupons and discounts if they bring their lesson students, and pre-order or even, purchase stuff there at the show. They would get a big discount. Um, we had a ton of food, and I had advertised that we were going to have free food for everybody. Um, I was, the event page on Facebook made it look like there was going to be, dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people at this event. And I brought in extra staff and help. I think I had three people show up for it. And of the three, one of them was there just for the free food and gave us a bunch of crap that what food wasn't up to their liking. We had pizza and I can't even remember, so much stuff. They're like, "This is it. I thought you were going to have lots of free food," and they had brought their family just to eat. They weren't even horse people. We had two like legit people actually show up for the event, and I tell you what, you talk about embarrassing. Absolutely, absolutely embarrassing that we had dedicated so much time and money into this, event. And I had taken our saddle building and I'd moved all the saddles aside. We put like strips of red carpet in there. So there was like a little red carpet runway. Never happened. Never happened. Nobody ever showed up, and I don't know. I don't know what I could have done differently with that because. I don't know. I feel like we did everything right on that one. I don't get it. Um, Another one that we've tried, and this one I can't really do anymore, and you'll understand why. But we used to do ladies' night out, and I actually got the idea from a quote unquote competitor tax store of ours, but we're excuse me, we're really good friends with them. And they're Galloping Grape up in Warrenton. I don't know if any of you guys know Kim, but she was like, "Oh yeah, it's always great idea." I was like, "Would you mind if we stole the idea?" "Oh yeah, help yourself." So we actually brought in a bunch of wine from Galloping Grape because it's one of the things that they sell, and Sam, my wife, made this incredible food platter display. It was incredible. A massive watermelon all cut open with fruit inside. We had cupcakes. We had pigs in a blanket. I mean, you name it, it was there. And that very first one, obviously, I didn't stay. I went home. Ladies' night out. It's not. I'm not supposed to be there, so I went home, and I don't know. It was like 4 or 5 hours later. Sam got home, and she's like, "Wow, that went really well. That was a really good, good event. Lots of people showed up. Everybody was sipping wine, shopping, talking. Um, it's exactly what I wanted. It was perfect." So we ended up doing it, I believe, two more times. And the second time, I think we had just a handful of people show up. And then the third time, nobody showed up. And we weren't doing them like, week after week after week. We were waiting like a month in between. So it wasn't, that people were just getting bored of it. I don't know what happened. It just fizzled out. And we decided to ultimately to shelf it because it just wasn't what we were hoping. Now, fast forward to now, as being a male, man store owner, I can't do it anymore. I can't do a ladies' night out. obviously doesn't make sense. So that's an event I don't think that we're ever going to bring back again. But it was one thing that we tried, and um, we also tried, and this one I don't know, I kind of had high hopes for it, but yeah, ultimately I kind of knew. We did a free pancake breakfast. A lot of the local businesses here, do that, but most of them are like food shops, and free pancakes for everybody that came in. So I was like, yeah, let's give it a whirl. Let's give it a try. Brought the big griddle, and we had enough pancakes to feed an army, and I think we had one person show up for pancakes. So we tried. It didn't. It crashed and burned. We were eating pancakes for a week after that, but what are you gonna do? You gotta try. You gotta experiment. Now here's one that we did. I believe it was 2018 or 2019. Excuse me. It's pollen today. Boy, allergies are really kicking up. Back in 2018 or 19, my wife and I came up with the idea of doing a monthly educational seminar. And this event was going to be a 12 events once a month for the year. And the idea was to have each month a different speaker or clinician or expert in their field come to the store and give a demonstration, give an educational talk. And this events was no holds bar. We went all out with this event. And I was really, really excited about this. Same thing, every source of, advertisement we possibly could do, we were advertising it. Social media, the website, flyers in the store, the local chamber of commerce, handwritten invitations, email marketing campaigns. We went all out, and we had all of our speakers and topics all lined out for the year. And I don't remember exactly. It was like, I don't know, like the second Friday of the month or something like that was our MadTack educational seminar. And some of them did really well. And it was the very first one we ever did was everything I hoped for. I was like, man, dude, we hit a home run with this. We had a good friend of ours, a local lady who works for Southern States as an equine nutritionist specialist. And we had her come and give a speech about equine nutrition. And the local co-ops are actually calling, hey, can we send our employees down? Yeah, absolutely. We, same thing, had lots of food platters and drinks and stuff like that. And we were pretty much standing room only in the store. It was incredible, the turnout for that. And a lot of people were shopping, which is an extra benefit. Like I said, when I started here, the podcast rather, the goal always isn't to make sales, to have lots of money at the end of the day, but it's a perk, and it's a nice benefit to be rewarded for the hard work, that you put in for the event. But that first one, incredible. I was like, man, yes. We finally hit a home run. But some of the other educational ones after that, we had the local equine rescue come in and talk about the adoption process and all of that. That one was attended really well. We actually set that one up outside because the weather was so perfect. That was a really good turnout. we had an animal communicator come, and we brought one of our horses over to the store, and that one was really good. Big turnout for that. That one did really well. But then after that, they kind of fizzled out. And I don't know if it was because of the topic, because I felt like all of the topics that we were discussing were extremely important. Um, we had our farrier come out, and again, we brought one of our horses out, and he was going to give a speech on, you know, proper hoof care and what he does, and he was going to give a demonstration and all of that. And I don't know if anybody showed up for that one. Maybe if they did, it was one or two people, but that one bombed out. Um, my wife is a saddle fitter. I mean, at that time, she was doing it part time, but we had one about saddle fit and all of that, and nobody showed up for that. The one that I was really probably most embarrassed and disappointed was we had an A-rated judge come, and it was just basically ask a judge. So you could bring your kids out or whatever, and you could ask the A-rated judge whatever you wanted to. Show attire or tack or rules and do's and don'ts in the show ring. Nobody showed up for that. I was so embarrassed with that. Now, fortunately, Kimberly was awesome, and Sam and we just BS'd with her for hours. I mean, it was I learned a lot. But I was so embarrassed that this lady put time aside to come down to us to give a talk and a Q&A session, and nobody came. Then as we started getting down towards the end of the year, people were complaining and whining about, oh, you need to make it virtual. You need to make these educational seminars virtual so I can sit on my butt behind a computer screen and look at it. No, that's not the point of it. The point of it is to get you off your butt and get you into the store. And it's not a requirement to spend money. We weren't charging anything for these, people to come and listen to the demonstrations. But, that's what drives me bananas sometimes is, I just want to sit at home and do nothing and look at it online. Well, that's not our goal. We've even had people say that with the tax swaps too, a little bit, not virtual, but, have you thought about rented the farmers fairgrounds, or, have you thought about, renting this facility, you can get more people in there. Well, the object of the event is to get people to the store. So if I rented another facility, it doesn't help my business. And like I keep saying, it's not always about making that dollar. It's about getting people into the store to see what you have, to meet you, to see what you're all about, and then word of mouth spreads after that. And that's sometimes worth more than the actual sale that they make. So, the educational seminars, I semi understood their point, just make it virtual. We want to be able to see, but it doesn't help my business, and that's ultimately the whole point of doing this, is to be successful. But then 2020 hit, and that was the end of that. Nobody was going anywhere, so we scrapped the educational seminars. If any time, that would have been a time to go virtual. But it doesn't. The whole point of these events is to get the body in your store. And that's why we do them. That's why we host events. So. Some of the other events that we've done, and they're kind of hit or miss, our Mad Tack's birthday is June 1st. So typically, whatever the weekend is around June 1st, we'll do a birthday bash. And it's usually just a parking lot blowout sale, just a party. And we used to invite vendors, and it wasn't a tax swap type thing at all. So that was the event that people could bring their makeup and their handbags and their hair stuff, clothing, all that kind of stuff that's really not overly horse related, but shoppable type stuff. And I don't know. Some of them have been okay. Most of them have not really been overly well. We've had like a face painter come, and we've had a good friend of ours bring a little pony for like a pony ride for kids, and I don't know. A lot of it here in Virginia is just about every single weekend all summer long there's a horse show going on somewhere local. So we're kind of competing with that, and even though we run sales and events or not events, sales and promotions and stuff on those days, I don't know. It's hit or miss. Another one that we do, or I should say that we used to do, was Black Friday. Now, any of you that are in retail know that Black Friday, that's the biggest day of the year for us retailers. And years ago, we've made these like grandiose, huge events, and have spent months advertising these things about certain things on sale, or buy one get one free, or free gift bags for the first however many people show up. I tell you what, with Black Friday, Black Fridays are always monstrous sales days for us, but nobody ever comes because of the event. And it's funny that everything we put on sale is the stuff that doesn't sell. And we're not doing the old school like retail thing where stuff's getting marked up and put on sale on Black Friday. We don't do that here. That's not how we roll here. So if something is normally $9.99 on Black Friday, it's going to be half price, $4.99. Like we're not going to jack it up to 20 and then put it on sale for 10. And that's just not how we do it. But Black Fridays are just busy no matter if you've got stuff on sale or not. And the stuff that we always put on sale never sells. And it's not anything weird. We're not like putting some triple extra large draft bridle on sale that nobody wants. Like it's horse treats, leather care, gloves. I mean, everything that's normal that people want. So I've kind of phased out the actual like thought of doing events on Black Friday, and we just announce, hey, we're open. Come on in, and that's how that's usually how Black Fridays play out. And then last but not least, just a good old fashioned tent sale, or just a good old fashioned sales event. And again, I found that they've been kind of hit or miss. We did one a couple months back. I had mentioned, I think in a previous podcast, that we got into an equestrian company that was going out of business and wanted us to liquidate all their merchandise. And we did a big event for that. And I set it all outside on tables and all of that. And it was pretty good. The turnout was pretty good. The weather didn't cooperate, so that kind of hindered it a bit too. It was just cold. It was cold and windy. And even though I had everything outside, nobody wanted to stay outside. So I get that. It happens. But that event, and just tent sales in general, I don't know. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not. And I don't know. I guess that's just the gamble that you play with doing an event. But that being said, I want to keep doing them. I stand behind them. It is very disheartening as a business owner when I put in a ton of time and a ton of money to make the event what it is, and then no one shows up, it's, I don't know, it stings. It stings. Um, but that being said, I'm constantly brainstorming new ideas and new ways of getting people here and new events. So I have two that I want to run past you guys. And I figured what better avenue than through the podcast. So here's two ideas that I have for events, and let me know your thoughts. This first idea, I have thought about this for years, and I've talked to everybody that I know about this idea, about this event, and apparently I'm the only one that believes it's a great event. I have tried to convince everybody. I even did like a little tiny bit of advertising about it, I believe 2 years ago, to see if there was any interest in it. And some people were, but it just, I don't know. I thought about doing a retail camp. So, big thing here in Virginia around our area is pony camps. And really just summer camps in general. A lot of people are working, and they rely on school to keep the kids occupied. And when school's out, they just send them off to some camp. I thought about doing a retail camp, and it would be obviously mainly just geared towards older kids that want a behind the look, view of, or I should say, a behind the scene look at what it's like to be self-employed and to be in retail. Whether it's behind the counter or ordering ordering inventory, answering the phone, taking money, counting change. It wouldn't be a thing where, it's not a babysitting thing, and parents aren't just going to dump the kid off here and, do whatever you want and all that. No, it's going to be for the older, kids that just, want to see what it's like. And, maybe that's the direction of career path that they want to go into. And they see, it was like I was saying in the last podcast about the misconceptions about, oh man, it must be so great and this and that. Well, I want to give you a real world look at it. So I thought about doing like a 5-day camp, and I'd provide food or whatever. And it wouldn't be an all day thing too, like maybe 4 hours or so. Kids would get dropped off here, and I would, go over all of that, how we pick the products we pick, and how do we, answer the phone and have good customer service, and how do we, use a pricing gun, and all of that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think it's such a great idea, but apparently I'm the only one that thinks it's a great idea. My wife's like, no, nobody will ever show up to that, and that's a terrible idea. And I don't know. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm just completely out of it. Maybe it is a horrible idea. I don't know. I just think it would be kind of neat, as like my way of kind of giving back to the community. And we wouldn't charge. It wouldn't be one of those like summer camps that are $1,000 per kid. No, none of that. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that. I think it's a good idea, but ultimately, I don't know. So the other idea, actually, my wife gave to me. We're in a couple retail groups on Facebook, and I've seen a couple other tack stores doing this. In my opinion, I think it's a terrible idea, but yet I see these places have like big turnout. They're big deal. They're big, huge events. and it's a tack cleaning event. So basically, what it is you set up, whenever the event time is on a Friday night or Saturday night or something like that, and you set up a whole bunch of tables and you set up a whole bunch of different type tack cleaners, conditioners, obviously products that you sell, so people get a hands-on, you know, feel for the product and see how well it works, and then you can offer them discounts to purchase the products while they're there. Um, and I've seen in some of these in these retail groups, like they're showing pictures, and there's like dozens of people all just sitting around cleaning tack. I I don't know about you. I don't enjoy cleaning tack, and it we'll get into this topic at another time, but we do a lot of consignment here, so a lot of people are bringing consignment stuff here to sell, and I see the condition of the stuff when it shows up for consignment. People don't clean their tack; they just don't. They ride, ride their horse or whatever, and then when they're done, the tack just gets chucked in the tack trunk or in the trailer or on a hook, and not to be seen or used until next time they go riding. I'm not saying everybody. Don't get me wrong. There are people that do that. But I guess the point of this event is that maybe it's fun to clean tack when you have your friends there and you can all talk and try new tack cleaning products and stuff. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts on that one, because I just feel that that's one of those events that I don't know, that I could go down a rabbit hole of advertising and getting the product and everything all set up, and then nobody shows up. But I don't know. I really don't know. Let me know your thoughts. Or besides that, if you guys have any suggestions on events that have worked for you or events that you would like to see us do, by all means, I am open eared. Comment below, or send an email to the business, because, like I said, I love doing these events. I feel that it's you're not going to an Amazon event. You're not going to a online event. Like, it's just nobody cares there, and that's why I want Mad Tack, to be known as the fun place to go shopping. Like, we can go there and we can do this event, we can learn, and that's what it's all about. It's not always about making that dollar. It's about networking and getting the word out. Thus why, I feel that events are kind of a good way to differentiate my business, let alone, from online, but differentiate me between other tax stores. So anyway, I mean, I think I've kind of wrapped up what I wanted to say with this one. I really am open eared, to if anybody's got any suggestions on events that I should do, events that I, again, should pull off the shelf, ones that I've tabled that we haven't done in quite some time. We should start it up again, or, are events just not the way? Maybe I should just bail on the whole entire thing, So I'm opening up the floor to you guys to see what your thoughts are. I mean, these are my thoughts. I like doing them. And some of them are very lucrative and rewarding, and then other ones are very disheartening and embarrassing. So anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up there. Let me know, besides the events, let me know if there's any podcast in the future you would like to hear, you'd like, for me to talk about. I did get a suggestion from a lady who found out doing what makes me happy? What are some of the doors that have been opened with this business, and what are some of the most memorable moments with running Mad Tack? That's a good one. That is a very good suggestion. And I keep my podcast notebook here with all suggestions and information I want to talk about. So that is in there, and we'll get to that in a future podcast. So anyway, I'm rambling at this point. Thank you guys for tagging along. I really appreciate the support, and I hope you guys have a great day. And I'll catch you on the next one. Later.